Now we'll move forward to our other field of study, which is a part of this discipline, that is pragmatics. We have already talked about semantics, which is about the basic meaning, but now we'll move on to pragmatics, which is about the contextual meaning of words. In the beginning, I'll talk about again what is pragmatics. In this module, some of the things would be repeated in line with the first lecture where we compared semantics and pragmatics. Just to refresh that knowledge, I'll provide some of the basic definitions of pragmatics here. Pragmatics can be seen as a component of human language, and it is also seen as a discipline or subfield of linguistics. As an academic discipline, pragmatics has emerged as a distinctive discipline only in the last half century. So it don't have a very long history. Pragmatics primarily is concerned with the meaning in context, or you could say the intended meaning of the speaker, and it is also the invisible meaning. By that we mean it's not pragmatic meanings do not rely entirely on the basic meaning of the word which are available in books or dictionaries. Rather, it takes help from the context or the intentions of the speakers to convey the actual meaning which are being intended by a speaker. When I say something, it definitely have a basic meaning. All the words I say have their basic meanings, but how they have been put together and in which context they have been put together do have a bearing, do have an impact on the overall meaning of those words. So we understand all those contextual and invisible aspects of meanings in pragmatics. Roughly, we may say something is said and something is communicated. We do communicate certain meanings which are not actually said through words. So we try to dig deep to know those meanings which have been communicated but not said through pragmatics also. In this regard, in order to know all those meanings, we need background knowledge of what is being talked about and the context, as I've already explained. It also looks into the relationship between linguistic form and communication, or the communicative form of the words being said. What has been said and what has been meant. For example, if I say, "Can you bring me a glass of water?" The linguistic form tells that it's a question of ability. Can you bring a glass of water? I mean, if we translate this in Urdu, we would say, "Kya tum pani ka glass la sakte ho?" It seems like a question of ability, but in most of English-speaking countries, this is taken as a request. When I say something, "Can you bring me a glass of water?" it means I'm requesting somebody to get me a glass of water that I may drink. So the form is of a question of ability, whereas the action or the actual meaning is that of a request. So pragmatics looks into this gap, or looks into the hidden meaning quite clearly. And then pragmatics also deal with intra-culture and interculture changes or variations in the meaning. We do have certain cultural features within the same culture. There are features which strongly affect the meaning, and there are definitely some intercultural between various cultures features which do affect the meaning. For example, the methods or the norms of being polite in our culture may be different from the norms of being polite in Western cultures. Or directness may be a good feature, maybe a good attribute of human personality in some cultures, and maybe a bad feature or indignant feature in some other cultures. So based on all these cultural variations, the pragmatic meanings are affected. So therefore, we need to understand these factors also in order to find the pragmatic meanings of words and sentences. People's intended meanings, their assumptions, their purposes, goals, and kinds of actions, requests, complaints, when they speak, they all have a relationship with the pragmatic meanings of various utterances. Human concepts are, in fact, very difficult to be explained, and they are never consistent and reliable. Uh, I give you an example of two very commonly used words in Urdu. Uh, we have a word chota and we have a word bada. They are usually used in opposite directions, and they refer to a certain size. If we say chota admi, that means small sized person, and if we say bada admi, that means a person who has a long height. But if we look at the social uses of these words, if we say wo bada chota aadmi hai, that have a strong social implication. It may be a comment about his character, his social standing, and it may not be a comment about his height only. और अगर हम इसी तरह कहें वो बड़ा आदमी है, तो it may also be a kind of appreciation of his qualities or a positive comment about his personality traits, but it may not essentially be a comment about his height. So the concepts of chota and bada in various situations may vary, and it's very difficult to keep all those concepts in mind simultaneously. Another example can be seen here. For example, two friends are talking with each other. They are in a conversation and they say the words like which are at the bottom of the slide in front of you. You hear these speakers and you know what they said, but still you are unable to understand. Just look at the dialogue here. Her says, so, did you? It's a kind of question. Him says, hey, who wouldn't? They are talking about something. You understand linguistically what they say, but pragmatically you do not understand this because you do not know the context or the background knowledge based on which these utterances are being delivered. So, in order to know the complete pragmatic meaning, you need to know the background, context, or the intentions of the speakers. This makes pragmatics a very appealing subject because this helps us in knowing the detailed or actual meaning of utterances, the deep communicator meanings of the utterances, but it is also challenging and confusing and sometimes frustrating also because it leads us to know not only the meaning of the words but also the intentions of the speakers.